NAC is back. NAC is back. But only
We're
half
back.
of NAC is back.
I'm
The other
back.
half of NAC is...
I'm back.
David's back.
Not
David,
back.
where were you at,
I'm
man?
back.
Where were you at?
I went to Spain. I went to a couple places in Spain. I started
Tell us
in
about it.
Barcelona, but the real highlight was I went to the north of Spain, a little area called Basque Country, which there's a city there in Basque Country called San Sebastian, highest concentration of Michelin star restaurants in the world. But
Wow.
the kicker is, and I was going on, like, that was like what initially drove me to want to go there. It's supposed to have like the best food in the world. But I was doing all this research, going deep on Reddit, and everybody was saying, like, and these were like, even in the Reddit threads about the Michelin restaurants, people were like, these Michelin restaurants were great, but the best steak I had was at this like random ass restaurant over here, or like the best fish I had was at like this place. So I like, at one point I was like, you know what? Fuck the Michelin restaurants. All these people are saying that the best food is at these other restaurants. This is just the best food on the planet. It lived up to the hype. The food was amazing. I had a good time. Recharged. I'm back.
You're back. And how
I'm
does it
back.
feel to be back, man? Give us your real-time state of mind going into a very charged week in crypto.
I feel like I came back at the perfect time. You know, like being gone this week I wouldn't have liked that because, you know, things are picking up. We got a base day one today. It's good to be back in LA for that. Market's picking up. It feels good to be back. We got a lot going on at Hume. We're doing
Yeah.
some big we got a big push today. We are launching V2 of our AI chat companion app. So it's going to be even better. You unlock secret cards as you chat to the artist more. It's really clear how you're earning XP while doing that. The artist can ignore you. Like if you piss them off, they'll just stop talking to you. So they're starting to feel like really real and have a personality off the heels of Elon's anime girl yesterday. So I'm feeling good.
Well, let's not skip around the agenda too much here. If I pull up my agenda, first on the list here, we have base day one happening here in LA. Just down the street from both of us, David. I mean, you're calling in from Hollywood, I'm calling in from Hollywood, and I think just in between the both of us is the actual keynote and the after party that's happening. So, how you feeling about that?
I'm feeling good about that. I've been talking here. I told everybody how Spain was. I want the Cooper. Coop's been locked in. He hasn't been on a trip. What are you looking forward to most with the event today? Or like, what are your expectations even? Like, what are your expectations going into this event?
My expectations are it's going to be really well done and really well presented. You know, the base team does a great job putting on a good show. I saw that there was a lot of rehearsals going into the keynotes. It's being streamed. And so there was a period of time in 2021 where keynotes were all the rage. You know, I very vividly recall being in New York with you, David, during a nice Doodles keynote and being very impressed by the keynote itself. And so I love a good keynote. I love a good keynote. We're going to have Brian Armstrong there in person, which is very bullish. We're going to have our boy Jesse Pollock there, some nice guest speakers. And so I'm expecting to sit in the crowd for 3 hours and listen, and I think it's going to be good. Afterwards, I'm going to be spinning on the rooftop for about 45 minutes, which should be exciting. And I think my question going into this is like, who are the base key advocates? Like who's going to be at this keynote? Who's going to be at this party that I think represents the base community? And I say that because it feels different than the Ethereum community. I think when you go to DevCon, ETH Global, and ECC, you have a very specific class of founders and personalities and KOLs, for lack of a better term. But who is that for base? You know, I think getting to see a little bit more clearly who they went out of their way to invite to this keynote is going to be very telling of where the whole ecosystem is in this point in time. So you'll be there. I'll be there. I think we're going to see some mutual friends. But generally speaking, I'm definitely pretty excited about it.
I'm pretty excited. It's like a non-hot take, hot take. Last year around this time was Basecamp. You and I were there with our boy Lucas from Pods, member of the NAC podcast here. And I was very excited for that event. It was a 3-day event. It was in the mountains. Where was it? It was like in
Idlewild.
somewhere outside Idlewild. But it kind of left much to be desired for me. I felt like it was a little too grassroots feeling. I felt like base was at a point where it needed to prove that it was like the go-to L2 and like the go-to chain to be building on, for lack of a better word. There was a lot of competition from Solana, and I wanted to go there and for it to have a more of a serious feel. Like, we're here, this is what we're building, this is what we're about, this is why we're all here building on Base, these are the goals. And it was a lot more grassroots and kind of like free flowing than that. And it kind of left me leaving. I still decided to build on Base, but it kind of left me feeling like there was a little bit of a lack of direction, which I don't think there was. I think, and that wasn't their intention, but it kind of left me, and I think some other people at that event felt like that. So I think this year, doing it in LA as a keynote, Brian Armstrong showing up, the CEO of Coinbase, Jesse's obviously like been practicing. It's more, there's a lot more direction, and I don't, out from as a viewer, it seems like there's more intention. I'm sure there was a ton of intention into, you know, hosting 3 days in Basecamp, but it just, this has the feel, I think, that a hyper, in like the hyper competitive environment we're in, this has like the feel that you want something like this to have. So
Right.
I'm excited for that. I feel like it's a good step for them, and I'm excited to be there today, see what
Yeah,
they
same
talk
here.
about.
See some familiar faces, go into it with low expectation, high hopes. Been playing around quite a lot with the app. Shout out Jay Stolar in the background there. The
Bye,
man,
Jay
the myth, the
Stiller,
legend.
the man, the
And
myth.
you know, we've been spending a lot of time working on this whole mini app launch. And so I'm very proud that Coop Records is one of the featured mini apps that's going live today. You know, hopefully we get a shout out at some point in the keynote, but a lot of work went into that. And I think that there's obviously a lot of trust going into the belief that there will be net new users and net new traffic that comes through this reskinned TBA Coinbase wallet. But I'm optimistic. I want to trust that these guys are able to get it done, able to bring some new people to the table. I think that it's kind of the start of a new chapter, and you know, a lot of moving glaciers here when we think about the Farcasters of the world, the Base apps of the world, the Zora apps of the world. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Do you have a, I don't know if you guys talked about this on the pod last week, do you have a stance on how integrating tokens into more of a social app experience, and especially like from your perspective with Coop Rex and what you all are doing launching songcoins right now, how that will benefit you all and what your expectations are here in like the first 3 months of this experiment?
For anyone that was around during the whole like on-chain summer placement campaign, you could basically submit to on-chain registry. You would get a bunch of traffic to like their homepage. People would collect it to get some points. And so we definitely saw an uptick in traffic at that point in time from collectibles. Even today, we actually had like 200 new mints come into this Felly song because it was just featured in the Coinbase Wallet app previously. And so I think that if there is, look, I'll just call it how it is. If there's an incentive system in place that gets people to want to come and spend time in the app and trade and interact and swap, we'll see an uptick. If there is no incentive structure in place and the expectation is just that people just want to come and hang out and scroll and just play around with apps because they're fun and exciting, my expectations are pretty low. And so I think that's kind of how I'm going into this. You know, I think the cosign from Base is very much appreciated. You know, the understanding that you can now go and open up this mobile app and easily swap tokens and whatnot is definitely cool, but it's not net new. You know, I think all of us have been around on Farcaster for last couple of years. We got the Farcaster wallet. We kind of understand this intention of like do on-chain actions in a mobile feed. And so that doesn't feel like a net new primitive to me. I think it's more a question of distribution. And if Coinbase puts a lot of marketing dollars behind this, can they start to pull new people in? And can we, as one of the, you know, featured apps, at least in this first week, actually garner attention and energy to come into the app itself?
I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, a company of Coinbase's size and influence has ever launched a social trading app mixed with a wallet. The only other company, and it's not, I mean, now they're a crypto company that has anything remotely like this is Robinhood. Like, but there's no social component. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see if they can pull this off. And if you take a step back for a second, it's actually incredibly novel what they're trying to achieve. If it's like what I'm picturing, which is basically mixing trading, a wallet, and a highly social app experience, I maybe it's probably been done on like a smaller scale, and you might know some examples, but no one's ever done it at this size and like a company with like this kind of influence.
Yeah. I mean, I think the vision here is like WeChat, right? It's kind of the everything
Mm-hmm.
app for crypto. You can go in there, you can find your friends, you can message your friends, you can discover apps, make transactions, etc. I think there's obviously still a big disconnect between like the quality of products that exist within the App Store that make you want to spend time there. And I think for me, one of my initial reactions is going through the featured section. There's so much variety in what's being offered that it almost feels difficult to know what to do once you get in there. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that, having Farcaster plugged in under the hood, having Zora plugged in under the hood, where every post that's on the app is now a coin, having the ability to browse and discover new mini apps and whatnot, the framing is all there. I think that there's going to be a lot of work that goes into go to market and user acquisition. But, at least the way that we think about it is we used the launch today as a forcing function to get coins out the door at Coop Records. Once those were out the door, we spent a lot of time just optimizing to make sure that the mini app was functional and that we could actually be supported within the featured slot. And I think now it's kind of just like an all-out push. I think this is kind of the start of a new chapter and basically saying, hey, here's a mobile product that people can get their hands on and use, and let's see if we can actually get people to want to use it.
Some would call it a new day one.
Some would call it a new day one, David.
I got a question for you. Because I was actually on Coop Records this morning looking at song coins. If we can
Wow.
move towards the song coin discussion. I'll start with a broad question. Actually, I'm going to start with some props. Because I don't think people realize I hadn't looked at exactly the full roster of tokens you had on there. And I don't think fully, like, these aren't all like Web3 artists or all like really small artists. Like, you have major artists on here. Daniel's a major artist at this point, which is like, shout out to Daniel. We got Zed's Dead, and which is a massive DJ who I don't believe has had really done anything in crypto before. This is probably his like one of the only on-chain assets that he has. Blondish, who yes has done crypto stuff before, but is a huge name. So like these are real names with real audiences that you've been able to get on this app. And I just want to, people don't realize how hard it is to do that. Like, these artists have managers, they have labels. There's a lot of friction to being able to get these types of high quality assets on chain. So I just want to like shout you out for being able to do that. My question for you is, how do you feel now you're like a week and a half into launch? Oh no, it's only been 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days.
Right. You're 2 days into this launch. How are you feeling? Has it like met expectations? Obviously there's always a lot of work to do, but where's your head at?
Met expectations for sure. Big shout out to the Doppler team. I think it was a great call for us to be working with them. I'm very proud of the 5 coins we have out there. I'm very aware that 5 coins is absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. And so I think the big conversation in my mind is just the velocity of new tokens in the market and the belief and ability that these markets can be efficient in the future. If you look at how they're currently trading, people are just buying the coins because they're new and shiny objects. I don't think that there is a understanding of one song being better than the other one song having more streams than the other one, etc. And so there's a big disconnect between why songs are trading in the way that they are. It's been really refreshing to sort of change the tune internally on a lot of these more artist-facing meetings and label meetings, and going into these calls and saying, hey, we're moving towards coins. These songs have a market cap now, hearing their concerns and all their questions and whatnot. But intuitively, I think people understand this direction for the product a lot more. It feels like something we can really sink our teeth into, which I'm really excited about. And I guess I can't say this was unexpected, but it was a little bit surprising, is there was quite a lot of discourse on Twitter around the whole transition from music NFTs to song coins, people thinking it's just slapping a new coat of paint on it, trying to sell them this old dream that never worked, and now I'm trying to sell them this new thing. And it just reminds me that I appreciate the kind words tremendously, but people don't really care. People don't really care until something's really working, and from a distance people will just look at music NFTs in 2021, they'll look at these song coins that we're launching today and just say, oh, it's the exact same thing, and there's been no learnings in between there. And so I think for me it's been a lot of soul searching this week, just really challenging my own belief in this, challenging my own conviction, being able to sit with all of the comments that are out there on Twitter and not try and get too offended by them. It's easy to get really kind of pissed off and triggered by some of the low-hanging fruit that's out there, but we're 5 years in on the whole on-chain music journey. We got another 5 years to go before I think we're going to start to see real impact here. So just taking it one step at a time and feeling grateful for the small wins, which is getting some new coins to market, getting to number 1 and number 2 on Dex Screener, which means that they were well received, all things considered, and now just staying par for the course and getting some more out there.
5 years to go before we have real impact. I don't think I actually think it's a shorter time frame, but maybe when you say real impact, you mean billion-dollar market cap tokens? Like
Not,
maybe there's
not
a
even
number.
market cap wise. I think that crypto has novelty when things are new and exciting and hot, and people will flood to it really quickly. And so I think it's likely that we see like a inflection point with crypto and music at some point in the next, 12 to 18, maybe even 2 years here, where a couple songs pop off, maybe some artist coins pop off, maybe like there's, you had the classic Blau $10 million sale that was making a bunch of news and whatnot, but it's not like NFTs have stuck around and are now meaningfully moving the needle on music discovery, impact, curation, trending charts, etc. To me, impact is defined by the cultural resonance it has and by the ability for it to move markets and move music, globally speaking. And so I think that I'm just aware that there's still an extremely large amount of time that's required to get there. And I think what impact looks like to me is that the success of songs on chain and on Coop Records are actually impacting the success of those songs in the real world. And not on a scale of 100 artists, but on the scale of 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, whatever you want to call it. So there's just a lot of magnitude that needs to come into play here. And I'm just trying to be really realistic and very, true to how far we have to go before this actually makes a tangible impact in the real world.
Do you see Coop Records? I know you sometimes call it an on-chain label. Do you see it as a label in the sense that if one of these tokens takes off, especially I think from like a Jiggets or a more like a DJ who's not like the biggest DJ in the world yet, and this thing's taken off, this artist has like tapped a new type of revenue stream for them. Do you see it as part of the role of Coop Records to like help that artist with PR and like the messaging around what they've done and like what this token's doing for their career? Or you see Coop Records as more like, we're here, we're providing this, but artists will talk about this and message this the way like they see fit? Or do you see yourselves as like partners with those artists?
Definitely partners. I think that crypto has a tendency to be really hands off, like platforms specifically want to just build the tooling and then let whatever happens. The more and more I think about it, I just don't think that can be the case with what we're doing here. I think that there's so much concern from artists around my fans losing money, around the stigma around launching coins, what it even means to launch a coin in the first place. And so kind of the way I see Coop Records evolving is we're sort of this trusted entity that makes people feel comfortable and confident launching coins and creates a little bit of insulation from the artist from all of these crypto moon boys and bag holders that have all these crazy unrealistic expectations. And so I definitely see us being super heavily involved here. I think, as I've been vocal about, for 99% of the artists we work with, this is their first touch point with crypto. And so we can't just throw them to the wolves and be like, all right, launch a coin and then good luck figuring it out. I think there needs to be a very active relationship there. I think to my point earlier, I don't expect that these coins will like break an artist in the next like 6 to 12 months, but I do think that there's some headline opportunities if, a coin gets to $1 million market cap or artists are making couple $100,000 in trading fees or whatnot. Like there's a narrative there that feels very tangible to me. So trying not to get too far ahead of the curve. I will say that if I zoom in a little bit more and listen to some of the feedback we've gotten this week, trying to create a more direct relationship between the coins that exist on the platform and the actual real world success of those songs in the real world feels very tangible to me. And if I zoom out far enough, I do think that Coop Records being able to, compete with more traditional labels and compete with other distributors in terms of owning some of the distribution rights and being able to bring that back into the coins and having the fans be able to buy into the actual upside of the songs. There's a very exciting thread to pull on there that I'm just, again, trying to prioritize roadmap, but I definitely see the vision very clearly for this.
Yeah, something that I was looking for when I was poking around today was like, when I click on a song, it would be awesome to see like how many streams does this have? How many uses on TikTok does it have? As those would be the two main things. And then people being able to have like some metrics for like when you're looking at a token, like if you're looking at a meme coin, you're looking at volume, you're looking at holders. Holders is a
Yep.
big thing. You're looking at market cap. And I think like what's that equivalent of metrics like holders for a song token? Obviously,
Hmm.
holders is interesting, but
It's like
how do you
fans.
measure? Yeah, how do you measure? I think what are the variables just people need to look at when they're trying to like decide if they're going to buy a song token? And I think giving people those, you're probably planning on this probably coming out in an upcoming release, but like, okay, here are the metrics that matter. This is what you need. This song has this amount of streams. This other one has this. Which one's underpriced?
Yep. Exactly. That's like number one on our roadmap right now is just more information fidelity around the success of these songs in the real world. I would say spending a lot of time looking at the whole ZK TLS world. So basically being able to offer rewards for off-chain action. So for example, pre-saving a song on Spotify, being able to make a video of that song on TikTok, etc. What's funny is that these are all concepts that we've had for a long time and even taken some previous attempts at in past products and whatnot. But I think what I'm most confident about is that this foundation we have now allows us to really iterate and build on top of that in a very substantial way. I think everything in the past felt a little bit more like a one-off experiment or let's kind of see what works, but the presentation is very clear now, the foundation is very clear now, and now it's just kind of layering on top of that and whittling it down into something that feels very intuitive to someone who couldn't care less about crypto. So I'm looking at our agenda here. Let me just scroll down here really quick. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
talked about
What else on the agenda?
base a new day one. Obviously, we covered that. I think the biggest news of the week has got to be Pump.fun and their
Yep.
token launch. Let me ask you a
Yep.
question, David. Are you a buyer of Pump? Do you hold any Pump token, or
I
are you
do not
exposed?
hold I do not hold any pump. I have thought about purchasing it several times in the last couple days. The only purchase I made or decided to make so far in the last couple days was actually Pudgy. I was
Hmm.
looking for things that are just like super obvious that I do not need to like check on every day and that I have like above 80% confidence that it's going to 5 to 10x if we're in a bull market. Pudgy
Hmm.
checks that box for me super strong. And I'm on the fence as to whether Pump checks that box for me as strong as some other tokens. Because, and yeah, this is coming from the perspective as like someone who wants to be more focused on their startup than like in the trenches trading tokens every day. And I
Right.
think there's still some, if you're coming at it from that, if I had all the time in the world, I'm a buyer of Pump. I'm buying it. I'm watching it. I'm seeing what happens. I'm tracking it. But I think I'm still I don't know, it doesn't check that box as something that like I wouldn't have to check yet. Obviously, from a forgetting myself and like what I'm looking for in the tokens I'm buying right now, uh massive ICO, like awesome to bring back an ICO. Love to see it. It was seemed like it went off without a hitch, and they're a revenue producing product. They're probably the most them and Hyperliquid are probably the most successful crypto apps that we've had in the last couple of years. And like, I'm probably an idiot for not buying some, but I think there's some, I don't know. I kind of want to see what happens with it.
Or I bought a lot of Pump. Sorry, I bought a lot of Pump.
You bought a lot of Pump. That's probably
Yeah,
a smart move.
bought a lot of Pump. Bought a lot of Pudgy. Got a lot of hype. We're letting our bags cook. We're feeling cozy. We're feeling cozy here. I
I
think
could,
when I
I
just
could,
started seeing Pump just ripping buybacks just directly into the chart, and then I started thinking about how they've made literally $1 billion this last year alone and how much reserves they have to just be doing that. You almost got to ask yourself if you're like the Pump CEO, like, is he just sitting there with a wallet that has $1 billion in it and just being like, yeah, screw it. Let's just rip 50, $100 million worth of buyback every day.
yeah. No, I actually saw that. Was that yesterday? And that started to
Hmm.
like change. When I saw that, I was like, wait, if they're gonna do buybacks, that kind of like changes this for me. So anyway, we'll see. I could come on this pod next week and be a big pump holder.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's a cozy bag. It's a cozy bag. I will say, looking at this agenda here, there's a pretty interesting partnership that came out this week. Believe and WAP, two apps that we've talked about quite extensively on the podcast here. Let me go ahead and just pull that up so we can see what we're talking about here. But from a high level, I thought that this was very exciting news. I'm a big believer, no pun intended. I'm also a big proponent of WAP and think that it's a really, really awesome product and something that I highly recommend everyone check out. And the two kind of joined forces. And I thought that that was very, very interesting. So let's see if I can share my screen here. Might be having a little trouble. 1 second here, David. Believe in WAP is now live. WAP creators can now launch a coin for their community directly from their WAP page. Communities are the heartbeat of any project, and WAP has become the go-to platform. WAP will soon roll out integration that lets creators add real utility to your coin, like token gated WAPs and more. This, to me, makes so much sense. For those who don't know, WAP is basically a platform that allows you to incentivize content creation, amongst other things that you can do on the platform. That is what I would say is the primary one. Basically, what we're going to have happen now is that you can be rewarded in a coin for creating content around a creator that you believe in. I think that it makes perfect sense. I see the vision very, very clearly here. I can't say that I've seen any believed XWAP tokens trading in the market currently, or at least ones that have good leg room, but I think this is a massive partnership and something that I'm very, very excited about.
I haven't seen any massive tokens come out of it, but when I saw this, much like the Robinhood announcement, I was like, this is one of the most real partnerships that has ever happened in crypto. And we are way out of the era of like crypto partnerships not mattering.
Yep.
I think this matters a lot. Coop, I'm looking at the agenda here, and you and I have an event to go to. And I got some things to finish up before I go to that event. You probably have some things to get ready for before that event. It might be time to call it a day.
This has been a half NAC episode. Half of NAC is here. The other half will return. David, appreciate you hopping on, man. And I will see you at day one in a couple hours. In the meantime, if you want to collect this episode, you can do so on pods.media/.a-cartel. Shout out to our boy Lucas. Shout out to Agent Chevy, wherever he is in the world. And we'll see you guys again next week.